For rifle fire to be effective, it must be accurate. A rifleman who merely sprays shots in the vicinity of the enemy produces little effect.
High right?
Yep, high right. The bullet's gonna curve left and low. Last summer, I was helping teach an old friend how to shoot off angle out to 300 yards and thought I could share the concept. Some of you might say you'll never have to shoot your rifle at a 90-degree angle, but I don't share that same philosophy. I may never have to use a tourniquet in my lifetime either, but that doesn't mean I won't practice using it in the event I may have to one day. Impact, I think that was the 200.
Oh, wait, yeah, I was shooting at the 2. Did I say 3?
Yep.
Okay.
Try the 3. Remember, high right ass edge of the ram.
Okay.
Chances are you may never have to use your rifle to defend your home either, but you probably practice that, so why not know how to shoot off angle? It's another skill set to at least learn the concept, even if you can't test it at the range.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
I'm like, I can't even hardly see that.
Well, start with the dot in the grass, you'll see in the grass, and then kind of raise it up, and then on that left little edge of the ram's behind.
Shit, dude.
Impact, dude. Good job. Seriously. See how all you did is go high right?
Dude, I just put it like up here on him.
Yep.
That wasn't that bad.
Exactly. A few common reasons to learn this may be shooting under an obstacle for cover like a vehicle. Staying behind cover with a small window of opportunity may require an off-angle shot. You may be trying to keep a lower silhouette, whether in a concealed position or even in an urban scenario, thus reducing your size signature. An upright position makes you more vulnerable unless you don't really care, where a canted position can give you a slight advantage. Some time on a barricade will help you practice this as well, especially at further distances. Now, if you watched my Red Dot Zero videos, you'll have a pretty good picture of what a trajectory path may look like. The projectile first travels upward towards our point of aim on a vertical angle before it descends back down the rest of its flight out to further distances. If we were to fire upright like we're used to, we get an impact as expected. But when we fire with the exact same point of aim, this time at 90 degrees, we may get a miss depending on the zero distance we chose. When we rotate our rifle at 90 degrees, you can see that there is no longer a trajectory arch upward towards our optic. Our projectile will now travel immediately to the left towards our optic, and where it used to curve back down when firing upright, it will actually look like we took a point in this trajectory here and rotated it downward. You can see that our impacts will impact low and to the left of our point of aim regardless of what distance we zeroed at, because it never travels upward in elevation while canted to 90 degrees. Now I want to take my EOTech EXPS3 0 to 36 yards and shoot it at 90 degrees out to 100, 200, and 300 yards so we can actually see how far the impacts will deviate with this canted trajectory shooting at the exact same target the entire time. I also want to include one of my favorite optics for a bonus trick, the 4X ACOG. Aside from its awesome features, it has a slight advantage when shooting off angle. To understand what I mean, let's visualize some trajectories using this optic. Like I covered before, this BDC reticle not only has its 100 meter zero point of aim, point of impact, but also a 5200 and a 25-300 meter zero, roughly speaking, built in as well. I can true in this 300 meter line at a closer distance of 300 yards and roughly have a 36-300 yard zero, which will be the same as using my EOTech with a 36 yard zero. Now the ACOG has a fixed trajectory like every other optic. We are just using a different point of aim depending on what distance we are targeting. If I shoot at a 300 meter target using the 300 meter duplex, I can then lower my point of aim on a 100 meter target using the 100 meter subtension line. Now if you notice, the 100 meter subtension trajectory doesn't angle upward as much as using the 300 meter subtension, which would be similar to my EOTech trajectory with a 36-300 yard zero. Using this 100 yard or meter zero subtension in the ACOG, I will not be sending my trajectory so far to the left while shooting off angle at 90 degrees, since this zero intersection point has been stretched out a bit. To test these two zeros out to 300 yards, I had to first zero my EOTech to 36 yards, and then reconfirm a quick 36-300 yard zero with my ACOG using the 300 meter subtension, even though I'll be using the 100 meter subtension line for this test. The ammo I'll be using the entire time is my Lake City M855 green tip. I bought some project board and traced an IPSC target to the top right, giving myself room to record how far off to the lower left the impacts will be with each zero. This board was only like $10 or something at Walmart, Starting at 100 yards, I'm going to aim center at the black circle on target, center mass starting with the ACOG. Remember, I'll be using the 100-meter duplex for this to simulate a lower trajectory angle. The model I'm using is the TA01 NSN, which does not have the fiber optic on top for illumination because I want a crisp black reticle. Canted, this reticle is still easy to use even though you can't get a very good stock placement in your chest. I have to float it partially on my arm to get a good sight picture so that I can manage the small amount of parallax the ACOG has horizontally, which is now vertical to my eye while canted. Not too far off from our point of aim using this 100-yard zero, although still low and left. Now let's jump to the EOTech using the shorter 36-yard zero. The EOTech is pretty easy to use while shooting canted since it has such a large field of view and almost no parallax to worry about. Just like predicted, this closer zero distance did send our impact a bit further to the left than our ACOG did. Now time to grab my oversized target and head out to the 200-yard berm to track our next off-angle shot groups. Starting again with the ACOG and a crappy arm weld, I took my first shot with a little surprise. To acquire a good sight picture off-angle, the short eye relief of this 4X ACOG gave me a nice little tap to the forehead. This was a first for me, but I'm also not surprised. I was super relaxed and without a chest weld to absorb the recoil, I should have been on guard. But anyway, back to shooting. You can see this further 100-yard zero didn't go too far to the left, but without any elevation upward at this angle, we are seeing a more severe drop in elevation. Now back to the EOTech at 200 yards. The 36-yard zero definitely sent the impact group further to the left compared to the ACOG's 100-yard zero. Now let's finish up at 300 yards, starting again with the ACOG. Finally, our last shot group with the EOTech and we're done. Based on the EOTech going further left, I wasn't sure if any of the impacts would be off target, so I decided to take two final shots aiming right about here just in case. Obviously, after viewing the footage, I was right, and I'm glad I decided to take the extra precaution. If I take these last two impacts and place them where they would be off target, we get our final group. Looking at our overall groups, it seems the ACOG starts to form a vertical path after it stops traveling left with this further 100-yard zero. If you wanted to hit the actual black point of aim here, you'd have to aim right about here at 100 yards, about here at 200 yards, and somewhere here at 300 yards. With the EOTech trajectory, you would have to aim here at 100 yards, here at 200 yards, and here at 300 to get the desired impact on target. I will tell you that using the ACOG is much easier to judge your off-angle holds, especially since you have some magnification, adding to one more reason the ACOG rocks. The EOTech definitely takes more training and practice using a shorter zero distance, although you could just zero to 100 yards if that's what you're into. Just know that it takes a little more guessing while floating off target with your holds. If you have a specific zero distance of preference, I suggest you set up a similar target and track your impacts in real time so that you can make predictable impacts in the event you have to take this rare shot in an emergency. If you missed my Red Dot Zero or ACOG Zero video, please go check them out after this so you can better understand what's happening in this video. I plan to go out and track more trajectories and add some further distances in the future, which will require a much larger target and some currently overpriced ammo. For all of my ACOG lovers, stay tuned because I'm going to drop a very technical video on how barrel lengths and ammos affect the ACOG soon. Don't forget that short eye relief while shooting off angle with the ACOG so you don't collect a nice forehead scar like I just did. Thanks for watching, and be sure to hit that sub so you don't miss the next video drop.